I wanted to talk about self-care today because it's been coming up a lot in, both just my kind of personal support groups that I'm involved with and my business coaching academy. And one thing that I learned personally, so I started doing the Miracle Morning, 5 years ago or something. So every morning I get up and meditate. I used to do all 6 things that he talks about. This is like Hal Elrod. He's this like quintessential motivational speaker guy. He's a pretty incredible person. But anyway, so the Miracle Morning, it's, basically writing in your journal, meditating, doing some exercise, reading. Oh, I'm missing a couple. Oh, affirmations and visualizations. And so I meditate every day and usually journal. And what I found is that I had to shift my thinking around self-care from this something I'll do at the end of the day when I have energy left over, right? Or this thing I'll do when I'm really stressed out, really burnt out. The idea of like taking baths and all of that, to self-care being an essential component for me, right? It had to be non-negotiable. So that's really what the Miracle Morning helped me with, is making self-care non-negotiable. I don't know who's on here yet. I see some people, but network connection. Oh, now it's saying connection available. Great. So what I noticed is, for me, when it went from being a should to non-negotiable, is I started feeling a lot more stable. I started feeling like I could be more productive. I started being able to actually achieve goals that I set for myself. So it was awesome. It was lovely. And in fact, I remember the day when it became non-negotiable. I was sick. It was like New Year's, or no, it was Christmas. It was Christmas Eve. I was sick. I had to work a 12-hour shift. And at that time, we still pushed through and worked even though we were sick, even though it wasn't a good idea, right? So I was sick. I had to work, and I hadn't finished wrapping presents yet. And it was like, I was so tired. I didn't want to get up and do my Miracle Morning time in the morning before work. But what I realized was that actually, and I'm having low network connection. I don't even know if you guys are able to see me. Hopefully you can. Was that I deserved that self-care time, right? And so that's when self-care really became non-negotiable for me. But what I've learned since then is, not only does self-care need to be non-negotiable. Let's see, I'm going to try to hold on to this with my knees. My self-care actually used to be non-negotiable no matter what, right? My stress would kind of go all over. And then I realized one day my self-care actually had to be proportional to the stress in my life. So the more stress I had, the more I had going on, the more self-care I needed to really get through it in a way that felt good, right? To navigate it in a way that felt that I felt like I could be resilient and resourced. So I've really worked on increasing my resources since then. And what I want to say to everyone is that we hear a lot about self-care as kind of this buzz idea, pedicures and all these things, but self-care really can look like whatever nurturing you need today. And it's so important to really care for ourselves at a very deep level. And what I've found is that right now, self-care really includes a lot of gentleness, a lot of, giving myself grace and hugs, and really evaluating my expectations of myself, thinking, about whether it's really reasonable to expect to just kind of soldier on and make all these things happen and be productive right now. I think I talked about this a little bit yesterday. So I'm not super focused on productivity. I'm more focused on doing what I need to do to survive, right? And caring for myself as best I can to get through this, and connecting with people as best I can. And for me, doing my work is actually a big piece of feeling good about, how I move through the world. And it does light me up. It does fill me up. So I'm wanting to, put a lot of energy into work as well. But I find that after I put energy in, after I have some really good sessions with clients, or after I do, put out content or recordings or whatever it is, then my energy, that's kind of all the energy I have for the day. And so the rest of the energy is really more about, slowing down, taking care of myself, napping, meditating. Last night we watched movies and just relaxed, and that felt really good too. I've been going for long walks when I can as well. So yeah, so self-care. And so why am I, as an intuitive eating coach, talking about self-care? Well, The thing about food is that it's so much more than just food, right? So you may have experienced food plans in the past where there's like, eat this, not this, or eat between these hours, or only eat, a cheat meal or whatever, right? Like all of these kind of rules about food. And so this is an externalized locus of control around food. And what we want to do is internalize that locus of control and really make it about being in tune and connected with our bodies, making it about nurturing ourselves. And so often when we struggle with food, when we are feeling like we need to soothe using food, it's because there's something else, a need underneath that kind of the need to soothe that we're not addressing. So we're not honoring the need underneath that. And very often what I find for my clients and people who want to work with me is that they are not caring for themselves on a really deep level, right? They're taking care of everybody else or taking care of everything else, stuck in a lot of achievement energy. And so when we want to really heal our relationship with food, we have to look at our relationships with our whole self. And that includes learning how to care for ourselves deeply. That includes learning how to nurture ourselves on a very deep level. It includes resting when we need rest, right? Because when we're really fatigued and we're not getting enough rest, we're going to need food to try to help us push through, food and caffeine, right? And so that's why I talk about these other things, because all of these things are aspects of our relationship with ourselves, which is really highlighted in our relationship with food, right? All right, so that's my kind of tip for today. If you didn't hit it at the beginning, go back. Basically, I was just talking about that our self-care needs to be proportioned to our stress level, and how I'm kind of doing that right now in a way that's really gentle and not super structured. There's no shoulds around it. It's just really learning to honor where I'm at and taking care of myself and navigating this as best I can and having grace for myself. So I hope this is helpful, and